Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Let's go. What up, though? Detroiters, wake up, Woodward. Wake up, Woodward. Welcome to the show. Chat, as always, you're going to be a very, very big part of it. So make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you're active in the chats today. We got a packed show, and I cannot wait. And guess who's back with Wake Up Woodward? Our brother, Mr. Sam Reynolds, Flannel Sam himself. Bro, how you feeling?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. This week, unfortunately, you're only going to get me once in the morning. I'm on a BDE tomorrow and Friday, but I'm going to make the most of today's show. And to kind of take us behind the curtain a little bit, KG, our esteemed sound guy, and a big voice on the show, a big voice of the network, he just proved to me that he has, which I think is a false thing anyway, but if we're going off the premise that it's real, that clutch gene, because sometimes you forget to do things like plug in the lights, and it was literally like 5 seconds before showtime. I see the lights turn on, and then let's go. Cool. So congratulations, KG, because there have been a couple of times in my past history as a sound guy where I did not make it in time, and the show started off all dark and spooky. So shout out, KG.
Thank you. I definitely can relate to that. And as always, man, our guy, Mr. Matt Broder. How you feeling today, bro?
Oh, let's go. Good morning. I'm feeling good. I'm chilling in the couch. Oops, let me block this. Got my Pistons jersey on. This is Woodward Pistons Wednesday. I'm excited to talk to Rod at 8:45.
Hey.
We're gonna have a good show.
Let's
good
go.
things happening.
And as always, man, we got the MVP over there, JB Smooth.
Yo, what's going on, fellas?
Chilling, bro.
It's a good wake up, Woodward, and of course, you know I got to support non-Pistons as well too. You know, shout out.
Let's go. Especially, man, on Woodward Pistons Wednesday, man. But we got to go around the city really quickly here, though, man. Some of the topics that we're going to get into today, the Tracy Walker news and what that means for the Detroit Lions. We got to talk about the Red Wings second half and the trade deadline incoming. I'm glad that we're doing that on the day that we got Mr. Sam, Flannel Sam, here on the show. We got Rod Beard. He's going to give us our kind of Detroit news beat heat check of all of our four major teams. And I think for somebody who covered Michigan basketball for, I believe, 7 years, Rod Beard did that. We got to ask him some questions.
Oh, I can't wait to ask Rod Beard some Michigan basketball questions.
Yeah, we got to ask him some questions today. What else do we have on here? Oh, you know what? Kind of this topic that I loved yesterday, and I'm glad that we're doing it as well with you on the show today, our Mount GRINDmore. I think that the conversation can definitely bring out more of those players that we believe fit that kind of narrative. You know, yesterday we talked about several different players, and I liked what Matt Broder's kind of list was. It was kind of encompassing
all
the
sports.
National scope, all sports, all teams. I did one that was a little bit more Detroit-centric.
Me too.
Yeah, definitely, man. I can't wait to talk about it today. And you know what, man? It kind of brought up some conversation slightly about Mr. Robert Porsche.
Oh, yeah. I heard that whole Mount GRINDmore segment. And mine, if we want to get to mine later, I have a more Detroit-centric one. I will definitely save it. And Robert Porsche, that was certainly an interesting one. But before we move on, I've got a slight bone to pick with one Matt Broder.
That's coming in hot, baby. Yeah. Let's go.
Because And I know this is kind of a technicality, but I was listening to it and I wanted to respond so bad because we were talking about your Mount GRINDmore, which I thought was a very, very solid list. But then some names were kind of bantered about, and one of them ended up being Kirk Gibson. And one of the conclusions that was being made was that maybe Kirk Gibson is too much of a star to be a grinder. Broder, your list literally had Roger Clemens on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. The most accomplished pitcher of the modern baseball era, over 350 wins, 7 Cy Youngs. So if we're saying that Kirk Gibson is too much of a star, then what's Roger Clemens? Maybe the best pitcher ever.
You know, Flannel, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with you on this one. We were throwing around names, and maybe it caught me off guard. But now that I think about it, you're so right.
Because I actually think Kirk Gibson belongs on that list of like a grinder.
Yeah, I didn't think about him, and I don't know if it was just coming up with an excuse like on the spot, but you're right. Roger Clemens is one of the best pitchers of all time. I was thinking about him in terms of, I was looking for a power pitcher who was good at throwing inside. I didn't want to go Nolan Ryan or Kyle Farnsworth for their fighting on the mound. So I settled on Roger Clemens, the Rocket. But hey, you're right about Kirk. If I'm going to say that about Gibson, you're right. Roger Clemens needs to find a new home.
Oh yeah,
it is tough too, because when we're talking about these Mount GRINDmore, a lot of these other players, like a Kirk Gibson, sometimes we will leave for like the Mount Rushmore,
right?
Like the top of the top. But it gets difficult because you're right. Some of these stars were stars because of their grind attitude, the aspects of their game that just made them great. So I think that some of them believe they belong on both of these lists. But I can't wait to get to yours, man. Yeah, that's going to be a hot segment, so you guys definitely stick around for that throughout the show. But the phone line, we got open lines, 313-552-6322. And just to kind of get around the city in this segment here, the Pistons' next game is Thursday, February 22nd at the Indiana Pacers. What's interesting about that is Jaden Ivey and Benedict Mathurin get to kind of renew this kind of rivalry that's been budding between them. Obviously, the Pistons as a team, they're not necessarily in a position to be able to have a rival as a team. Yeah. But when you talk about a lot of these narratives, man, you know, we've heard a lot about Tyrese Halliburton and the Pistons. 8 wins. For a team that has 8 wins, you talk about dominating NBA headlines because of Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and the things that these players are saying about them. I'm looking forward to see how the Detroit Pistons respond against a team like that, and Kay Cunningham and Jaden Ivey.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers, obviously when you look at records, win-losses, it's not a rivalry. But when you look at some of the headlines that you had previously mentioned, how Tyrese Halliburton mentioned that when the Pistons were drafting, he thought that the Pistons were going to draft him, and when he saw point guard and saw Killian Hayes, he was like, what the hell? He was right, by the way, to think that. Look at how both their careers have gone. But also the budding rivalry between second-year players Benedict Mathurin and Jaden Ivey. I get it. They're different players. They're on different roles on different teams, but I think they're both guys that each team is happy with, that have had some success in this league. But you saw them talking a little smack to each other in the Rising Stars game, and if you're going to put some juice back into this Detroit Pistons season, why not make a little rivalry with the Indiana Pacers, at least on like a player-to-player basis? Why not? Wouldn't that just be a little bit sweeter if they are able to go into Indianapolis and actually win this game against a team that's going to make the playoffs against a couple of players that one of them kind of dissed Detroit for making the wrong decision, which he was right about, and the other one is kind of, there was a little bit of debate whether it's Jaden Ivey or Benedict Mathurin is the right pick, but I just think they're both two young players that are up and coming, and both teams are happy that they have them. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yep.
I'm excited.
I can't wait for it, man. Because what we want to see out of this young Pistons team, and we're going to get more into that in the later segments with Rod Beard, who's going to be able to bring us the kind of State of the Union Detroit outlook from the Detroit News, their beat writers on all the different sports teams here in the state of Michigan. But I want to be able to talk about what this second half outlook is for a team that only has 8 wins, but they also shipped out 8 players and brought in 8 more. Yeah. But as we just kind of go around the city, the Tigers, they claimed outfielder TJ Hopkins off waivers from the San Francisco Giants. And Chris Ilitch gets a new team playing for the Detroit Tigers. Obviously, if we're going to talk Tigers, we got to include our Detroit Tigers beat writer and reporter, Mr.
Let's go. Let's go. This is another, not a game-changing acquisition. Signed him off waivers from the Giants. He played in, about 44 games with the Reds last year. He raked in AAA, but as soon as he got up to the big leagues, he started to struggle. He's a decent outfielder. He's a decent defender. Will likely be competing for one of the last roster spots and some at-bats from a corner outfield spot. So it's more of a bring some competition into spring training, just up the ante, help out some of these young guys, make it tough for them to earn their spot. This is, to me, that's all this TJ Hopkins acquisition is.
Yeah, Broder, I'm glad that you're here because I pride myself in one thing. I may not be the most talented, I may not be the smartest, but I prep harder than just about anybody. And anybody who works with me knows that that's true. I'm not saying it to brag. I'm just saying it. But TJ Hopkins,
you're elite at that.
It doesn't move the needle for me at all. I mean, because if you're going to be a player who raked in AAA, it's ideal for you to be more of a top prospect or a guy who, when he made the MLB, actually had some success. I mean, TJ Hopkins in 41 at-bats, hit 171 with a 227 on-base percentage, no power. So if he becomes something, fine, but TJ Hopkins, I did not do my deep dive on him, so my apologies. I'm usually more prepared than that.
No need. It's truly, it's just a competition. More competition at the big league level in spring training.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
I think for me, any deal that this kind of current front office makes, I'm always hoping that there's something beyond just what we see on the surface. Because this front office, like you've stated already, Broder, with Greenberg, I think that there's going to be a lot more than what meets the eye with a lot of these players that they bring.
100%. They're trying to develop. All these young guys they're bringing in, they have a developmental mindset, which is why we don't want to get ahead of ourselves this season, but the players are exciting enough. They got good enough pitching where in a down AL Central, they should be able to compete. But they're developing these players from single A all the way up to the bigs.
Yep. Just to kind of continue to sing around the city, we got the Red Wings. They have signed 24-year-old forward Michael Rasmussen to a 3-year, $12.8 million extension.
Yes. So Michael Rasmussen, he's one of those guys who was a former first-round pick in the Ken Howland era, and he hasn't really ever developed into being a star. But in hockey, you need those depth pieces, and that's basically what Michael Rasmussen has been this year. Unlike last season, he's been healthy. He's produced at the level that you'd expect him to. But I think the most telling thing about Michael Rasmussen, and I'm not saying it was all because of him, but last season, Michael Rasmussen played in 56 games. And sometimes one of the tells of how valuable a player is what do they do? What does the team do when you're not there? Last season, in the 56 games that Michael Rasmussen played for the Red Wings were 27, 21, and 8 for a total of 62 points in 56 games, which is very, very good. In the games in which Michael Rasmussen didn't play, which included a late season tailspin, which knocked him out of any playoff competition, the Red Wings were 8, 16, and 2. So I guess if there was any question about whether Michael Rasmussen would be part of your future for a cheap deal on like your third line, I think last season answered the questions. And the fact that he's managed to be healthy this year, the Red Wings are a very, very good team, and Michael Rasmussen is a very solid depth piece. I don't hate it. You win Stanley Cups with guys like that just because of the nature of hockey, the sport.
Yeah, and he's a talented center, but can also play either of the wings.
Yeah.
And a 4-year, $12.8 million, so a little over $3 million a year. That seems like a pretty good deal for a 6'6", 220-pound grinder. Is he in the grinder category?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
Let's go.
I like that, man. And you guys already know one of the bigger kind of news stories of the day centered around Lions safety Tracy Walker. He said goodbye, and that was on Instagram, and that was quickly followed up by the news that the Detroit Lions had released safety Tracy Walker. And I know in our next segment, we're going to kind of break this down as him being more of a casualty, what the Detroit Lions are trying to do moving ahead. And I think it does kind of potentially tip what the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes is going to do for remaking this team, especially in the defensive backfield. How you guys feeling about this?
Well, I'm going to give my full thoughts in the next segment where I can really dive deep into it. But I guess my overlying thought, and I'm kind of giving away a little bit, is that it had to be done. But at the same time, you guys might be surprised about this. Now that Tracy Walker is no longer on the Detroit Lions, I'm going to give him some of his flowers that I think that he's deserved for the role that he played this year, at least early on. So it had to be done. But Tracy Walker did have a place on this team, at least early in the season.
Yeah. And he was part of this turnaround. Like, I don't know what you're going to say next section, but I think I agree with you 100% from what you're teasing. It was a move that had to be done. It clears up $5.5 million in cap space this year. But Tracy Walker, he's not only a fan of the network, a friend of the network, he was part of that Detroit Lions turnaround. I look at last year even more. Last year, as in 2022, he was able... No, I'm sorry. The year before that, leading into before his Achilles injury, he was really trending upward. He got that contract extension. He was part of this team, part of the grittiness of turning it around. But when you look at him being the third highest cap hit on the team and having lost his starting spot, midway through the season, it just had to be done.
I mean, credit to Tracy Walker. He was one of the best defensive players of the 2021 season. I know that's not saying a whole lot. Their defense was bad, and they were 3-13-1. But Tracy Walker carved out a role for himself, and even this season, he was more valuable than a lot of people think. And I'm going to go into more detail on that next. But Hey, I got the transition this time. How about Planet Fitness? Planet Fitness, where Tracy Walker can get his off-season workouts in. Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free
Elite
zone
transition.
where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Let's drive right down Woodward. How about that? Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back. Once again, chat, you guys are a very important part of the show and our Wake Up Woodward family. We appreciate all of the support. We still got the streak going as the most liked show on the network, and I couldn't be more excited about that, man. Thank you guys so much for that. We appreciate it, and I can't wait till we get with the fans tomorrow night at the DMAC night, man, at LCA. I cannot wait. We're going to be in the building. We're going to be doing some fan interaction, and maybe some of it will wind up right here on this Wake Up Woodward show. Once again, those phone lines are open, 313-552-6322. Call in and say what up, though, to Sam, Broder, KG, JB, and myself, Detroit Kool-Aid. But we got to get into this thing here about Tracy Walker, breaking it down a little bit more in depth. And I know you said you were going to save kind of your take until this segment on Tracy Walker. And obviously, Matt Broder, as our Detroit Lions beat writer and reporter, can break it down even more in terms of what it means for our Detroit Lions. But Tracy Walker, I echo a lot of the sentiments that you guys were talking about as it relates to the type of player he was. Those guys who kind of were here before and continued to press, continued to put out good seasons. It sucks to see their careers affected by injury. Yeah. You know, this wasn't a player that was just kind of here, just floating by. This was a guy that went out there, and when he could, he did work. And so it's unfortunate that obviously injuries play a role in this, as well as the business aspect of it. You know, this, if anything, is one of those things where you can absolutely say it's not personal, it's just business.
Yeah, Tracy Walker, unfortunately, when it comes to the Detroit Lions, there's nobody that can be more of a cap casualty than him, because coming into the season, if he were to stay with the Detroit Lions, he would have had a cap hit of almost $13 million, which, given the fact that he missed almost all of 2022 with an Achilles injury, was a healthy scratch for the end of the regular season and in the playoffs, and also given the fact that Ife Melifonwu, Kirby Joseph, and Brian Branch are all on their rookie contracts, it's kind of a no-brainer to get rid of Tracy Walker. They save $5.5 million on the cap by cutting him, which that money could be used to assign another player, whether re-sign a guy of our own or re-sign somebody in free agency. 5.5 is a pretty solid chunk of change. I mean, ask Emmanuel Mosley and CJ Gardner-Johnson for reference. So Tracy Walker, he didn't play in any 4 of the final regular season games or any of the playoff games, and that alone is a bit of a red flag for why he had to go, at least given his contract situation. And when he played, his passer rating allowed when targeted was about 124. Not great. But as I said before, this is a little bit of an ode to Tracy Walker, at least what he did when he was on the field. So this season, I've got a couple of numbers for you that I think a lot of you are going to like. 7 games this season, Tracy Walker had at least 6 tackles, which is what one of the things he did best. He had over 100 in 2021. The Lions were 5-2 in those games. Tracy Walker stepped up big against Tampa Bay and Carolina. Those were both games in which Brian Branch didn't play and Ife Melifonwu did not get any defensive snaps. Also, in the games at Green Bay and at Atlanta, Tracy Walker stepped up in games in which, I know a lot of people don't remember this, but I had to look it up. Kirby Joseph did not play in those games. So Tracy Walker, when he was needed, he did step up and play big. And oh, by the way, he also had 2 games, and I'm a big PFF fan, so I'm going off of this, 2 games in which he had a PFF grade over 70. The Lions were 2-0 in those games. And in the one game that he had a sack, it was against the Raiders. The Lions won that game as well, and that was a game in which Ife Melifonwu did not play a defensive snap. He just got a tackle via special teams. So Tracy Walker, he had to go. And I know we mentioned it a little bit on Big D Energy at Feldman. I might have been a little bit flippant and disrespectful to what Tracy Walker actually did. But when I actually looked him, really did a deep dive into what he did for this team this year, both things can be true. Tracy Walker had to go given the contract, given the depth of the safety, nickel corner, slot corner room. But Tracy Walker played a valuable role on this team at the beginning of the year, especially when some of the key guys like Iffy, Brian Branch, and Kirby Joseph, and CJ Gardner-Johnson for that matter, were not playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that what I like best about Brad Holmes and this Detroit Lions team is that we've talked about it before. They're not going to be stagnant. They're not going to be stuck in their ways. They're going to do things to continue to move this team forward. They have Super Bowl aspirations. And when we look at what this team is able to do in terms of through the draft and through free agency, I think that this does signal that they're definitely going to be looking at defensive backfield help. Like, it's not a secret in this draft, maybe a little bit more than we probably wondered before. But Broder, what does this mean for the Detroit Lions?
Well, so Eduardo O'Neill makes a good point in the chat. He says, I knew he was gone when Dan called in the old guard when they clinched, and he did not look happy. Like Flannel said, this is something that just needed to happen. It's nothing about the player, although he was battling injuries, that he lost his job to Iffy, to CJ Gardner-Johnson, to some other players on the team. But with that contract, you just needed to make this move to both open up cap space to either sign a free agent. Maybe you give that money as part of a 1-year contract to CJ Gardner-Johnson, to CD Deuce. Maybe you allocate it other ways. But I think this is just the first of a few moves that Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and Mike Disner are going to make to help set up their cap in a way where they can pay Penei Sewell and they can pay Hutch and Amon-Ra, extend Jared Goff even. This is just something that's got to happen. And the fact that they did it before June 1st, and I'm not super savvy on all the details in the timeline, it's not like they would have saved $8 million if they cut him after June 1st, but they would have had, in this year, they would have pushed that money out one more year. They would have had another $3 million to spend in cap space this season. So the fact that they did it now means they have some sort of plan where they're going to address this. And I do believe it focuses around Ife Melifonwu and his development, his breakout. Maybe that's a guy we're going to cover as a breakout player coming up. Iffy at 24 at $1.192 million in 24, his contract in 2024. That's just their next man up. That's who they're going to. So it doesn't make sense to give $13 million to a third or fourth string safety.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if we're looking at if Tracy Walker were still on the team, which he is not, when we're talking about the safeties and nickel corners, Tracy Walker would probably be 5 on that depth chart. Yeah. I know that each safety kind of plays a different role, but still, there was not a place for Tracy Walker left on this team, especially given the fact of how Ife Melifonwu really emerged at the end of last year and actually played very well the whole year when he was on the field. Brian Branch had a damn good rookie season, and a Kirby Joseph, you could actually make the argument when you look at their numbers that Kirby Joseph and Tracy Walker, although different, both of them had kind of meh seasons, at least by the numbers. But the difference is Kirby Joseph still has 2 years left on a third-round rookie contract, right. And Tracy Walker was going to be one of the highest cap hits on the team. And, oh, by the way, Brian Branch still has 3 years left on a second-round rookie contract, and Iffy has 1 year left on a third-round rookie contract. So when we're looking at this secondary room, at least when it comes to safeties, nickel corners, slot corners, they're good, but they're cheap. And Tracy Walker really, and the evidence is that he was a healthy scratch for the end of last season and in the postseason. Tracy Walker was really neither at the end of last year.
Flannel, do you think Tracy Walker is a starter on another team? You know, maybe not the number one safety or number one nickel safety, but a starter or maybe serious contributor on another team.
I think so. If it's a weaker safety room, for sure. I mean, no, I'm not.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Tracy Walker, for a lot of the season, did start some games, did play a role in them winning. So, yeah he could start at another team.
And I was going to say, it kind of leads into this comment by Dark Cass. He says, it just means the Lions got better. When you're talking about this Detroit Lions team having Super Bowl aspirations, you talk about that window being maybe 3 to 4 years, maybe centered around your draft picks, your young player, your core. The Detroit Lions have to move into this kind of era of how they manage their contracts, broken down into multiple pieces. Who is your core that's going to get paid? Who are your one-year players that you can bring in to kind of sprinkle in and take this team over the top? And who are your draft picks that can come in and give you some type of a serviceable role that Tracy Walker played as well? When you look at what Iffy was able to do on a much cheaper contract, that has to get your ears kind of perked up. And when you have talent evaluators like the Detroit Lions do, these types of cap casualties, they're not going to be the last. You're talking about moving this team forward, not just to kind of tread water like we've seen them do in the past to try and have hope to get to the playoffs, but to actually win a Super Bowl. The Lions getting better, it's going to mean a lot more of these types of deals, and I don't think that Brad Holmes blinks twice on these types of things. Mm-hmm. Obviously, from a personal standpoint, yeah, you feel for those things, but Brad Holmes, Jared Goff, the core of this team, they got different aspirations and goals, and it takes a different amount of how you manage this team from a front office perspective to be able to get there. Yeah,
and it was at the end of the day, it was a cap savvy move, because Tracy Walker at no time in his career has ever been the player that Ife Melifonwu was last year. Tracy Walker at no time in his career was ever the player that Brian Branch was last year. Even Kirby Joseph to some extent. I know some of his numbers don't look that pretty, but at least Kirby Joseph has shown in his 2 years with the Detroit Lions that he just has a knack for creating turnovers. I mean, he was most famous for intercepting Aaron Rodgers 3 times in 2022 while adding another interception and 2 forced fumbles that were recovered by the Lions. And then, of course, last year he led the team in interceptions with 4. And to top it all off, as I've already said, all of those guys that I just mentioned are on rookie contracts. And Tracy Walker, at the end of last year, the reality is, and going into next year, he's not really good or cheap, at least for what this team needs right now. Just facts. Facts are me.
KG, man. Listen, man, you're one of our ball knowers here, too. What's your take on it all?
Hey, man, you hate to see it just because of the type of person that he was. He was a good person. He was always good with the fans. And from what I can gather, he was good in the locker room as well. But it was just time, man. He was a holdover from the Patricia era. He got off to a solid start in his career, but it just never seemed like he was the same exact player after coming back from injury. Mm-hmm. Then add on top of the fact that we did end up getting a deeper safety room with Iffy, with Brian Branch, with Kirby Joseph. So, like Broder said, you can't have a $13 million safety on your defense that's not starting for you. So unfortunately, it just had to happen. But he's a good dude. He will be on another team. Some other team will take a shot on him, and we just wish him the best going forward.
I think that's very, very well said, because we don't want to be or sound too callous, but when you're talking about being Detroit Lions fans, most of us have been beat down. Most of us have seen this front office mismanage things. Now that the Detroit Lions are kind of moving into this more rarefied air, it's actually comforting to see them do things that the big boy teams do in this league. And honestly, that makes me very, very happy, very, very comfortable, because they said that they're building for longevity. They want this success to last for a long time. And to just kind of see how they continue to pluck this talent, kind of find certain little deals here and there, as they continue to kind of overturn this talent from the Patricia and the Quinn era into where they're going now, I am a lot more comfortable about the deals that people like Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown are going to get, because I do believe that Brad Holmes is going to continue to go out there and identify players like Iffy. I do believe he's going to go out there and identify players like Brian Branch through the draft. I don't think that, some people on this network have questioned, can Brad Holmes, can he continue to do this in the draft? Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's just that plain and simple. But I know we got to get to a break here. Who are we hearing from?
Dispo.
By the way, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a lot of people read this as timeout, like his message on Instagram. It's actually tea time, like Tracy Walker, tea time. out.
Yes. And before I read the Dispo read, I just have to say this as well. Chef Talks NFL, Sam stays throwing shade. I promise you that you will not see anybody on this network give Tracy Walker as much credit for what he did at the beginning of the season as I did early on in this segment. And another quick reality of Tracy Walker is when you're starting on a team that's bad, and he was a starter on that 2021 team, one of their most valuable defensive players, you're not always going to be a holdover when your team becomes a Super Bowl contender. It's just the ebbs and flows of being a Super Bowl contending team. Yeah. Lions fans aren't used to it.
It's the high expectations.
Absolutely.
It's a business.
The high expectations.
Yes, but Tracy Walker, if he needs to ease any of his physical or emotional pain, he should go to Dispo. Visit Dispo Dispensary today for exclusive new deals. Yes, and experience a team that curates an unbelievable atmosphere, mixed with fresh inventory from Michigan's largest variety of products. Come through our stores or order on Dispo today. New year, new deals, same plug. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
Are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables. We got new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out Woodward Sports' latest gear at woodwardsports.com and click shop. We got hoodies, tees, hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. You don't have this Pistons jersey, but you have a lot of good Pistons gear. The Meat Missile short, the D-Max Stoked Not Scared. It's all there. Get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com and click shop.
What up, though, Detroit? Welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward.
We're here.
In chat, definitely excited to have you guys here. Your comments are already on fire. You guys are keeping this thing alive. Definitely hit that like button to support the crew, the entire crew, our Wake Up Woodward crew here, man. We appreciate it greatly. And that phone line, 313-552-6322. Did I hear that you said we have Meat Missile shorts?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
I was a
I hope we don't have Meat Missile shorts.
I need to enunciate my words a little better.
It's all right.
I mean, we can work on the Meat Missile shorts if you want to, but, you know.
Actually, that is a clever idea. Meat Missile shorts.
How would those look?
Oh, my God. All right.
I'm not designing them.
Incoming.
I'm not designing them.
Yo, kind of back to this Lions talk before we get
Man
into
spanks.
our
Yep, fast forward, back at it, y'all.
Oh my God.
Can't pause
Fast
this man.
forward. Matt Broder, aka Fast Forward. You know that's his new nickname, right?
Fast
You
Forward,
can't
okay.
pause him.
All right.
Let's go.
Unpausable, they say.
Let's go. I like it.
But we got Tracy Walker, man. We're talking about what this means for the Detroit Lions and just kind of juxtaposing what this front office has done and just kind of the comfort that I have with these types of moves. I feel like in the past, especially in the Patricia Quinn era and in the Mayhew era, I feel like in the Mayhew era, Tracy Walker is somebody that they probably tried to hold on to.
Absolutely.
Because our talent on the team, as well as their talent evaluation with draft picks and things like that, didn't pan out as much. And with the Patricia Quinn era, they were going and cutting players that we thought were talented and meaningful, like Slay, or trading people like Slay, Diggs. I thought that Golden Tate should have been somebody that was on this squad longer than he was. And it made me uneasy. Like, what is this team doing? Where are they headed to now? But when you see these types of moves happen underneath the careful watch of Brad Holmes and co., I'm more like, yo, what is he cooking up, man? It's like, yo, sometimes my wife, she got the garlic and the onions going in the pot, and they got the whole house smelling good, and I absolutely know that dinner is about to be banging. And now I'm just like, what is Brad Holmes cooking? What is he cooking? Let's go Lions, baby.
Yeah, and one thing that you brought up when it comes to Tracy Walker is, and I don't know if you brought this up, but I'm going to touch on it briefly while I'm at it.
Touch it, Sam.
Thank you. He was not a
man. Come on, come on, brother.
Fast forward.
He was not a Brad Holmes draft pick, and what Brad Holmes is going to have the challenge of doing this offseason is a guy like Tracy Walker, for example. He's a guy that has a long-term deal or had a long-term deal, and by cutting him, you can save $5.5 million on the cap, which is a pretty significant amount. And he's also going to be going through this, and I don't want to make a whole topic about it, but another player that he did not draft in Jonah Jackson, for example, there's going to be a question of whether you want to give him a long-term deal. But the thing that those two guys have in common is they were Bob Quinn draft picks. They were not Brad Holmes draft picks. And when I was on Big D Energy with the great Neil Rule at Feldman Chevrolet, he kind of clued me into they're not Brad Holmes guys, and that is going to make a difference. Maybe if there's a tipping point or so. With Tracy Walker, there definitely shouldn't have been a tipping point. He had to go, but right now, I think it speaks to the only guys that you really have to make those decisions about are holdovers from the previous regime, because Brad Holmes has drafted so well in just 3 drafts that literally all of them are still on their rookie contracts right now. Every single one.
It's amazing.
I know that guys like, Iffy and Aleem and Amon-Ra and Derek Barnes, they're guys that going into next year are going to either need a new deal or need to be cut. Some decisions are going to have to be made on them. But when it comes to a Tracy Walker, I think it might have helped too that he was not a Brad Holmes guy. It just happened to be by when he was born and when he went into the NFL. But he had the misfortune of being a Bob Quinn guy.
How comfortable though? Like, we're talking about some big names here that are going to be coming up in years to, next year, the year after. Does this person get a contract? Is this person getting traded? Is this person getting cut? And it's because of the job that Brad Holmes has done that I'm actually comfortable with that. I'm telling you guys, when we look back at some of these previous regimes, I've never been more just kind of at ease, kind of just out on my little floaty, kind of this laid back. I got the martini over here. I got the dish over here. And I'm just like, hey, he's going to handle this thing. And years past, it's just like, oh, man, what are we going to do to kind of be mediocre this year? But it's like, I trust what he's going to do. I know that he can go into the draft and get talent that can come in right away and start in place of some of these high-priced players that you're going to have to make some decisions on.
Well, it also helps, too, that Brad Holmes has drafted much better players on the whole than a Bob Quinn and Martin Mayhew. I mean,
combined.
When you talk about the old holdovers, we're talking about guys like Eric Ebron and Tease Tabor and the like. I mean, obviously, those are the worst of the worst, but
that's nasty business.
It's a good problem to have when you have more good contributing players than you can pay, because in 2021, I mean, that's the next one that's coming up. You definitely have to pay Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league, first team All-Pro in year 3. But when it comes to other guys, some decisions are going to have to be made. But the man making those decisions, for the first time really ever, we're just like, yes, Master Brad, do to us whatever you want. Because
whip it. Whip it.
I'm just saying. And I get it. Brad Holmes isn't perfect. I mean, there's some moves in free agency I'd like to see him make a swing at that he may or may not. But when it comes to drafting and then the coaching staff development, that's the crux of how they went from 3-13-1 in 2021 to an NFC Championship game appearance in 2023. Good players on rookie contracts. Isn't that something we haven't seen a whole lot? I know, right?
It's great, man. It's great.
Or veterans on 1-year contracts.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. What does this do for a guy in question like a CJ GJ, who was also in that same defensive backfield room as Tracy Walker was?
This opens up some money that could be allocated towards him. And you were talking about players from the old regime. Taylor Decker's another guy to look out for. He says he has a lot of football still to play in front of him. He's got another year left on his contract. Maybe maybe you look to extend him and structure it in a way that opens up more cap. You got decisions to make about Levi Onwuzurike, John Kaminsky. Remember last year they did some restructuring of contracts, including Tracy Walker, including Jack Fox. I believe there were a couple others that happened to open up space too. So this is why it's so important to keep Mike Disner around, the COO of the Detroit Lions, who is getting some looks from some other teams to help manage these massive contracts that are coming. But there is a 1-year deal being worked on by C.J. Gardner-Johnson, C.D. Deuce, in his camp. Don't be surprised if it's actually more than what he made last year. Now, I know that seems crazy.
Look at Sam's
I know.
face.
I know.
So fast.
I know. But think about this. They might have to pay a premium to convince him to take one more 1-year deal. And I know he was hurt. He missed, 14 games last season, including the playoffs. But what he wants is a long-term deal. I don't think the Lions are in a place to give that to him this season, but they sure as hell would want him back for at least one more. So he wants to play with Aaron Glenn for at least one more year. Maybe follow Aaron Glenn to where he goes as a head coach possibly, or a defensive coordinator at another team next year. But he made, $6.5 million last year? Don't be surprised if they have to give him $7.5 just to take the 1-year deal instead of a long-term contract elsewhere. It's being talked about. It's being worked on. If he doesn't get a multi-year contract, I expect to see him back in Detroit.
Look, I was going to read some comments from the chat. I will do that, but I have to let Sam speak.
Showtime.
No, all right. So I'm not going to yell and scream because, and this is where I can rationalize it to some degree. Would I rather have C.J. Gardner-Johnson than Tracy Walker moving forward? Yes. If that's the price that has to be paid, I guess I'm okay with it, and I'm a Lions fan, and I'm going to support. But the reality is I personally don't want either of them. I think the phenomenon with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and this is we've talked on it a lot, and Broder, you have probably been the worst offender of this.
Oh, yeah?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I just feel like I don't understand why in any universe, if you want to consider bringing him back, that's a different story. Why people are like, oh my God, you definitely have to bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He gets more credit for things he didn't do than just about any player in Detroit sports than I can even remember. The man played 3 regular season games. I know it wasn't his fault, and you cannot ignore this. The Lions were 10-4 in games in which he missed. That's just reality. You can talk about his locker room stuff or his leadership, but you are never more valuable off the field than on it if you're a professional athlete. I think that's common sense, but some people just value what C.J. Gardner-Johnson brings off the field. His play be damned. And I get it. We expect him to maybe play a full season coming into next year. But at the end of the day, too, another thing about C.J. Gardner-Johnson is it wasn't just last year. Did you guys know that in the last 3 seasons, C.J. Gardner-Johnson has missed 24 games? Ooh. I'm just putting that out there. I am just putting that out there. So for all of those reasons, I don't understand why he's a must sign. He's a maybe if you got a little money and you can use the Tracy Walker money, I can kind of get down with it. But a must sign, absolutely not.
And you know what? That's a fair take. That's a very, very fair take. For all the intrinsic things we think he can bring to the table, for the fact that if he was already signed here by Brad Holmes and if he gets another contract, it's because of what Brad Holmes talked about, signing the guys that they believe fit this culture and fit this locker room. But yeah, we want these guys to perform on the field because at some point in time, just as Tracy Walker and we know other players in the future of talent are going to kind of get squeezed out of this, not rebuild anymore, but Super Bowl aspiration run, then guys like CJ GJ should also be people that are getting scrutinized kind of just the same. Is this person going to help us get closer to or further away from a Super Bowl? They're not just trying to get to talent anymore. They're not just trying to, hey, can we win the division? Hey, can we get into the playoffs? Can we win a playoff game? It's different now. The national pundits, the national media, the local media, the Detroit Lions themselves, they have all stated that this is a serious window of opportunity for us to be able to make the Super Bowl. And I want to be able to read some of these comments as well, man. The chat's been on fire, man. We appreciate you guys. Definitely hit that like button to support the crew. And hit the like button for Mr. Sam being back today as well, man. I always love when Sam is here. It feels like our family is more complete. We got a solid starting 5 here, man.
Yes, we do.
But John Henry, he said Brad had 2 starters from the second round last year alone. He will find great players. Count on it. John effing Lord, he said at Broder, WSN is Woodward life. We appreciate you, John. We definitely do. Stephen Baffy, this is the one for me, man. Quinn was GM for 4 years, Mayhew 7, and Holmes has drafted and the coaches developed more talent in just 3 years.
Big facts.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. And it's amazing. It's like, how wrong were we doing things for so long here in Detroit that Brad Holmes has come in. He's doing things this way. And it echoes, you know, I feel like some of these other teams, these fans of good teams for some longevity are looking at us like, what's the big deal over there? Why these guys so? Because we've never seen this before, man. This is like amazing stuff. It's wizardry to me. I'm sure Kansas City Chiefs fans, I'm sure 49er fans are just like, why are these guys tripping about this stuff? Because it's been years, it's been decades, it's been lifetimes, man, since we've seen somebody operate like this as a Detroit Lions front office executive, man. So definitely, man, it's like a couple more here. I know totally with Sam, I'm stress-free because I know well that Brad will do the right thing.
Facts.
The real K. Collins believes that they're saving that money up for L'Jarius Sneed. I was waiting to see what your reaction would be.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I know that out of all of the corners available, that L'Jarius Sneed, he's the one that actually has the highest Spotrac market value out of all of them. I personally, and I know the Bears are probably going to franchise him, would prefer a Jalen Johnson, but I would in no way, shape, or form say no to a potential L'Jarius Sneed. He's one of the best corners in the league.
Yep. And just the last one here, Super Juggernaut 87. Good laughs in the morning can do the soul good. We hope that aside from the information, that you guys are feeling a part of this family and that we can at least bring a little bit of smiles and laughs to your day, man, to start your day off right. It's Wake Up Woodward, man, right?
What
would we be without it?
Well, you would be you should be here. I will just say that.
Yeah.
Your day would be less enriched, but you know where else you would be worse without.
Where, Sam?
That would be Guardian Alarm.
Guardian Alarm. We have to defend the happy, right? Guardian Alarm. It's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. It's technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people have been proven to care. You guys see it right there. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Once again, that is 1-800-STAY-OUT.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
For 60 years, Fairway Packing Co. has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. There you go. Fast forward. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks. Order online at fairwaypacking.com.
Get your meats.
Hey, yo. Welcome back. What up, though? Detroit is Wake Up Woodward. And it's not just our starting five of KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick in the sound booth. We got JB Smooth, Woodward Sports' MVP in the TD booth. We got our Detroit Lions and Detroit Tigers beat writer and reporter, Mr. Matthew Broder. And you guys already know Sam Reynolds, Mr. Flannel Sam himself. And I'm glad to see you back in flannels.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy about that. And it's your boy, Brandon Dan, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. Pistons beat writer and reporter. Hopefully we have better days ahead. I put in the chat yesterday, I just want to be able to cover one winning season, at least. Just one, please. But we got to go around the city, man. We got our special guest, our weekly guest, on the line right now. I believe he is available. It is Mr. Detroit News, Rod Beard. Brother, as always, it's great to be able to talk with you. And I love this first segment where we get into kind of the field of Detroit sports from your perspective as sports editor-in-chief at the Detroit News. You got a pulse on kind of everything that's going on with the different beat writers and the different columnists there. And we got a couple teams that are kind of exciting some people in the Red Wings and in the Tigers. And as well, you guys already know, people are still like up here as it relates to the Detroit Lions. They definitely are. How you feeling this morning, brother?
Hey, I'm feeling okay, and I think you got it. It's the Tigers' optimism is there, the Red Wings' optimism is there, and the Lions is really now you're not looking at the draft like you normally would and saying, hey, we got a top 5 pick or a top 10 pick. Now you're looking at, hey, how do you find that needle in the haystack with that 29 pick and how to figure out how to get value there. And the 4 picks in the top 100, hey, that's something to work with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, you know, we were just kind of talking about this Tracy Walker news, and him being released, and just kind of talking about how different of business it's been for the Detroit Lions. In years past, we looked at some of these older regimes, like the Mayhew era, the Quinn and Patricia era, where they might not be in a position, or maybe they are in a position to kind of release these players, but the talent depth on this team would have dictated so much different. Now, all of a sudden, we see Brad Holmes in a completely different era, where when these types of moves happen, and we know it's going to become something much more difficult, at least to us probably on the surface, in terms of the decisions they have to make on certain players moving forward. You know, in years to come, next year, the year after, especially as they're locking up their own guys, just how much different of business Brad Holmes has brought to the Detroit Lions organization.
Well, when you start winning and you set a bar, you can say your talent level has to be better, and then your depth has to be a little bit better as well. And so you're not just counting on marginal guys or going out in free agency and saying, hey, what are the big fish that we can catch that would take us over the top and make us an elite team, one of the top 3 or 4 teams, which the Lions are in some Vegas sports books. How do you become, how do you improve the areas where you really need some help? Can you go out and get a Chase Young? Is that even in the cards for you to start thinking about? And yeah, how impactful would a move like that be? Can you go and get a top tier corner? Can you get an impactful offensive lineman to help shore up the interior line there? Those are the types of questions that you're asking now, instead of, hey, with the number 8 pick, what kind of guy projects down the road to be a contributor for this team? And it just puts you in a different place of how you can build this team and how much you believe in Brad Holmes.
Hey, Rod, Flannel Sam here. Nice to meet you. Kool-Aid's a great one, and the fact that you worked with him for so long is it's pretty cool.
Grateful, man. That's my mentor, my big bro, professional, true professional all the way around. I definitely would not be where I'm at today without the contributions of Mr. Rod Beard.
Yes, and I want to ask you another Lions question, Rod, because the cutting of Tracy Walker, that's something that just had to happen, given the fact that the safety room is so deep and you can save money on the cap by cutting him $5.5 million. So given what this creates for some flexibility when it comes to some free agents, which you kind of touched on a little bit in your last segment, how close are the Detroit Lions to actually being a legitimate Super Bowl contender, or are they already there?
They're there. They're already there. To be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, if you believe Vegas odds, you've got to be in the top probably 5. And I've seen them in the top 4. I've seen them at 4 or 5. I think it was 3 in one of those, 2 behind San Francisco and KC. That there's sustainability that's there. You can't have these big free agents who are on the market and you have these big question marks. We're already talking about what a Amon-Ra St. Brown extension looks like, what a Jared Goff extension looks like. How do you keep your main guys in the fold? And you're in a position now where you don't have to make those decisions just yet, but you can say, we can take a stab in free agency and see if there's somebody there that will help us and take us over the top and be at that point. And that's a comfortable position for Brad Holmes to be in, that you don't need the draft guy to be a big hit. He just needs to be a contributor. And that's a big difference for where the Lions have been for the past couple of decades, is that they look at that draft pick as not a must, not an essential, you've got to hit this, but you just need somebody who's going to be able to come in. And Brad Holmes has done that with his draft picks, that a lot of these starters are littered with guys who he identified and went out in the draft and got in different rounds, not just the first round either.
Good morning, Rod. Great to have you on again. I want to pivot real quick down to spring training in Lakeland, Florida. It is Alan Trammell's birthday today, so we want to wish him a happy birthday. But I want to ask you about Chris Illich, who's been criticized over the last couple of years for either not spending enough, not spending too much on the wrong players. But he's been doing some things behind the scenes in terms of revamping the locker room, the facilities at Comerica Park. It was just shared yesterday that he now has a new team playing for this Tigers. What is not necessarily the team playing aspect, but kind of channeling Bill Davidson and what he did to create a new culture for the Pistons. What is some of these things that Chris Illich is doing, not in terms of signing players, but helping reshape this organization? What does that sort of say about the direction this organization's headed?
Well, people always say that free agents don't want to come to Detroit, that there's so much more on the coasts or in Chicago or in the bigger cities. You've got to have something else that's unique. And that was the thing with Round Ball 1 is that when the Pistons got Round Ball 1, it was very much, hey, this is innovative. This is something different. This is going to take some of the strain off of milling through the airport and having to do some of that other stuff. So it set the tone for not just the NBA, but for professional sports leagues and having their own transportation like that. But what it says for the Tigers, too, is that they're spending in the right way. This isn't just a family-owned operation, and they're just in it for the money. They're giving some back. They're putting some back, and they want the success that some of these other things can bring, not just on the field, but just from a player's safety, a player comfort, the other amenities. When you go to the airport and you get that bump to comfort or premium or first class or whatever, you enjoy the difference there, and players are the same way.
No, that's great. That's great. The Tigers, man, more so than just kind of what they're doing and the excitement that comes early in training camp and spring training and whatnot. I know all of the fans, or some of the fans, they're expecting this team to be something competitive in the AL Central this year. But a team that we do know is absolutely in the thick of things right now, in the chase, are the Detroit Red Wings. And I know Flannel, man, he's definitely cute, like kind of clued into what the Red Wings are about. He's kind of one of our Red Wings representatives on this show, man. And so I wanted to be able to kind of bring up some aspect of the Red Wings talk in their playoff push from around the Detroit news, like what they're feeling, just kind of getting like a little bit of a heat check on them.
No, this last West Coast swing was critical for them to be able to get a split out of it. And that's the thing. Whenever you go on a long road trip, it's a litmus test for you. It's a test to see not just the travel, and that brings into some of the other things we just talked about. If you have your own plane, you're not kind of on the chart, or you're doing other things. But in a West Coast trip like that, you want to see what your team has, how many games you can get out of that. And people may not say it, but they go through it and say, here's a 5-game trip. We want to try to get 3 games. We think these are the 3 games that we may be able to get from it. But if you can get 2, you feel like 2 out of 4, you feel like, okay, we're just doing that. And now it's a numbers game. You look at the schedule, you look at the games you have left. I think they have 27 or 28 left. You're just kind of, hey, where can we get some games here? Where can we feel that like we're making a move? And they're chasing that first wild card spot. They're in the second wild card. But just you want to keep pace with some of the other teams ahead of you. You want to try to make a move when you can. And anytime you can win 2 or 3 in a row, and certainly in hockey, just get points. You can take a point here or there. You don't necessarily need the 2. You just need 1 so you can keep pace with the other teams that are around you.
Yep, and I'd say a 4-game road trip for the Detroit Red Wings, which they just had, was wildly successful given what they had done in the previous 14 games before, going 10-2-2. I want to shift it to a team that is not doing very well right now. I see, Rod Beer, you have your big house sweater on. You have your big house sweater on. A stadium where there was a lot of winning going on. You know where there hasn't been a lot of winning this year? Chrysler Center.
Next door.
Yes, and I am not very happy about that. So, Rod, maybe you can give me some peace of mind. How did they get there, and what in the world can they do to maybe get out of this doldrum period that they're in right now?
Because you covered Michigan basketball for some years, right?
A long time ago, from 2010 to 2015. How'd they get there? The easy answer is they lost 2 draft picks last year that they didn't think. I mean, certainly Howard, his son, that you thought he'd be going, but You didn't think you'd lose the other guard, and you didn't think that Hunter Dickinson would be transferring also. Those were just tremendous hits. That Hunter Dickinson was the key part of their offense, the fulcrum in the middle. And he was one of the best players in the country. And for him to go to Kansas is just another embarrassment of riches that they're getting. But you just didn't have the depth. And that's why depth is so important, is that when you look at the roster this year and the guys who had to step up, you're making guys who weren't ready to be number one guys. And you can see the difference there. They had a decent start to the year, but then it just kind of fell off. And with Juwan out for most of the beginning of the year, if you don't have your head coach, that's the kind of energy boost that you need, is your coach and telling you the direction that you're going and giving you that energy. If you don't have that guy, even if you do have the assistants, it's not the same. It's just not the same at all. So I think that was a big piece of that. But the talent gap, and even though the Big Ten is a little down this year in overall, for them to have only 8 wins or 9 wins or whatever the number is, it's just not. That's not Michigan basketball. They're on pace to finish last in the conference, and that hasn't happened in 60 years. So that tells you how far down this has gone.
Yeah, it's one of the lowest periods in Michigan basketball history. And you brought up a good point. I don't think it explains everything, but you look at even the last few years under Juwan, they had NBA talent. Guys like Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard and Caleb Houston and Moussa Diabate, and then Hunter Dickinson, who, whether he's an NBA talent or not, is a really, really good college basketball player. And this year, they just don't have that. But to me, they're not worst Power 5 team in the country bad. They're 8-18 and 3-12 in the Big Ten. That's impossible. But I'm just right. Whenever it gets to Michigan basketball, I can't help myself. It's so painful.
But it's the same stuff that we talk about with the Pistons. It's turnovers, it's silly mistakes, it's not being able to hold leads. You can do that at any level, and it's going to be not successful. You just can't play that style of ball and expect to be a winning team at all.
So listen, we got Rod for another segment, so I need you guys to definitely smash that like button for Rod. And we also have the phone lines open. I will get you guys, get to your calls right after this next segment, 313-552-6322. But I know we got to hear from, we talked about the Big Ten, and we talked about if the Michigan Wolverines will ever become big boys again in that division, in that conference. But what do we got to hear from?
Well, maybe a nice comfort food meal at Big Boy will help them get big and strong so that they can win some basketball games. And wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy.
That's the answer.
Try the veal parmigiano or the new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack or Santa Fe Garde. Also new apple pie hotcakes that are too good to miss. Top it all off with a new gingerbread shake for dessert. Shop by your local Big Boy today.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Football season is officially over and spring training is right around the corner. However, Jack Labrador is 24/7, 365 days a year. Learn how to play now on your phone at jacklabrador.gg. 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. And remember that once you go Jack, you never go back. Go to jacklabrador.gg.
What up, though, Detroit? Welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward. I know it's supposed to be close to like 60 degrees today, man.
Let's go.
So I'm excited about that. Gonna try and find some type of outdoor court or something today and definitely get some run in. And you guys already know, you see it right here on the screen, man. Second segment, Woodward Pistons. We got to cover this team. I'm actually running out to practice right after the show. I'll be able to talk to Monty Williams. So if you guys have any questions that you want me to ask Monty Williams or consider to ask him, definitely put it into the live chat and definitely hit that like button to support the crew. We got KG, we got JB, we got Matt Broder, Flannel Sam, and your boy Detroit Kool-Aid. But I need you guys to help me with something here as we bring Rod back for segment number 2, and that is the drum roll. Can we get that going? Let's go. Hey, yo! Shout out and welcome to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. And you know what, Rod? People were wondering after the first segment, they were like, wait a second, where's his drum roll at? I'm like, wait, that's a Woodward Pistons thing. That's a Woodward Pistons thing. But, you know, we always kick it off with Rod's thoughts. I do want to talk about Cade Cunningham in this second half outlook for the Pistons. But we got to just start off with whatever is in the mind of the great Rod Beard, the Chief.
All-Star Weekend, man. Come on.
See, I'm not the only one upset.
Yep.
You always know something's wrong with All-Star Weekend when the three-point contest is better than the dunk contest. And I've written for years about how to improve All-Star Weekend. But the dunk contest, if you have Obi Toppin, I'm okay. If you give me Jacob Toppin, no.
Like who?
Unlike, do not want. So one of the things was if you put enough money into the dunk contest, you would get some of the premium people to do it. You got enough money to get Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu to do a separate three-point contest. Do that same idea with the dunk contest. And they did at least incorporate one of the ideas that I had written about is having decimal points. So don't just have here's a 10, here's a 10, here's a 10. It's too easy and you're going to get ties. And that was the issue that we had during the Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon years. So they at least fixed that part where you got decimal points and you get a 49.8 or 49.2, whatever it is. So that helps to break some of the ties. But you need premium talent. You can't just have these dudes. Mac McClung, Mac the Knife, whatever.
Mac McClung, Mac the Knife.
I like he has dunking ability, but his dunks don't do a lot for me because a lot of them, can we rule out jumping over people? I hate it. That is the worst type of dunk there is. We went through a number of years where people were just throwing the ball up and bouncing the ball, and we got away from that. Let's get away from jumping over people and this. If I see one more person hold the ball like this, I'm just going to be done. I hate that dunk. Do something else. Dominique didn't jump over people. Michael Jordan didn't jump over people. It's silly, and Shaq is not a prop to be jumped over. What are we doing?
Talk your talk.
Shaq, you're better than that. This dunk contest should be better than that. The dunk contest is turning into the Pro Bowl where it's not even real anymore. Everything is just props and okay. I'm gonna step back. I love the 3-point contest. I love the exhibition between Steph and Ionescu. I thought that was awesome stuff. And the drama with 4 players getting to the tiebreaker in the first round. But it's like the home run derby. It's so gimmicky that how many dunks and how many attempts at dunks do you want to see? Hey, if you don't make it on your first dunk, then that's it, bro. You polish your craft and be good at your dunks in a dunk contest. We don't need to see you go 5 times for the same dunk. If we see what you're going to do and you miss it the first time, it's not exciting anymore. I don't want to see you miss the dunk and then make the dunk. All right, I'm good.
Bro, I agree 100% because you talk about this All-Star Weekend. It used to be one of those things where it was appointment viewing. You had to tap in, and you knew that the game was going to be competitive. You see kind of the greats, they were stepping out there to say, you know what, this is my opportunity to play with some players that I've never gotten the opportunity to play with and maybe never will, and the opportunity to go out there and compete against the best. And I miss that overall. Even the dunk contest, the three-point shooting contest, the skills competition, I don't know what's happened to that. You can't make the skills competition easier. You're the best basketball league in the world. That's how you position yourself. The best players in the world come here to play this game. Continue to raise the standard. Don't just lower it, man. And that, to me, has been kind of one of the biggest things behind why the All-Star game has kind of declined over the years. But, Rod, the Detroit Pistons...
The skills challenge has turned into Double Dare, where you're taking the physical challenge and stuff moving all over the place like this. And you got to bounce the ball into a thing it's too much. It just simplify the thing. The skills challenge you can take out. Because who cares? Who's going to hold up and say on their resume, I won the skills challenge in 2024? No, it's the dunk contest, the three-point contest. Keep it moving.
Yeah, and just kind of put all your efforts into making those events the best ones that you can possibly make it. Because I remember as a kid growing up watching the All-Star Weekend. I'm telling you, it was appointment viewing. You had to be clued in, man. Now it's just like, okay. You know, and that's, to me, as a basketball fan, as an avid basketball fan, it hurts because I want to see the game. I don't want to just be like, well, let's just blow this off. I want to see the All-Star Weekend. I want to see it get back to what it used to be. And I'm hoping, like, I know they said they had players, former greats going into the locker room and telling them why this needs to be competitive and such. I see, Sam, I see your face over there too, but did you catch wind of that?
I did. I honestly think nothing else needs to be said except that Mac McClung has won 2 consecutive dunk contests. He's not an NBA player. He's played 4 NBA games his entire career. He's not an NBA player. But, hey.
It's so crazy. He gets that contract right before All-Star Weekend, and then all of a sudden he's here. You can go to the dunk competition.
So here you go. You fix the All-Star game by saying the losing team has to put up money. The winning team gets that money. Ooh. So you don't get money from the league. You get selected for the All-Star game, you got to put up, I don't know, 50 grand, 100 grand, $500,000, whatever the number is that they see fit. The losing team gets that, and guess what you're going to get from that? Defense. You'll start getting some defense because there's the pride factor. But now I got some bread on the line. Okay, cool. Or if the league has to put the money in the pot, the winners get all the pot. The losers get nothing. You thanks for coming. You get this. You get these Beats headphones that are in your hotel room, and that's all you get. You get nothing else.
Yo, I love that idea, man. I absolutely love that idea. It should bring back some of that pride, especially maybe like what they did with the in-season tournament and how that money was able to go to help out some of the players on the team who might be lower paid. I like that idea, man. I think that you talk about putting that type of pride on the line, you're definitely going to get some better basketball. But talking about trying to get better basketball, the second half of the season, post All-Star break for the Detroit Pistons, 8 players traded out or waived, 8 players in for the Detroit Pistons. What are they looking to do in this second half, man? What's their outlook? And this is one of the questions I'm definitely going to ask Monty Williams today when we get down to practice. But what is it that you want to see out of these Detroit Pistons? Because it's not like they're going to make a run for the play-in. It's not like they're sniffing anywhere near that. What are you trying to see out of them?
I just need a couple of players who are going to blend with that core that you're talking about, that give me any kind of anything. Can Quentin Grimes be something moving forward? Can Fontecchio be anything going forward? Because I need to clear the decks to if I feel like I have players that I'm making decisions about, like a Killian Hayes, if you were making a decision about him, you're kind of in that in between. If you move on from that, there's no discussion about it. You have what you get in the draft. You have other guys in free agency that you can say, hey, let's see what we can do here. But you don't have somebody that you're still trying to figure out what they can contribute to your team. And I think that was the key to just, you know what, we're not there. There are no in-between situations here. Either we know what we have or we don't know what we have. And there may still be some other pieces that move around after the season, but I think it was critical for them to just clear the decks here.
Yeah, I agree with that because for me personally, we've kind of covered this thing for a few years, especially since the start of this kind of Troy Weaver era and the restore. And the window that we had was this offseason for this team to move completely out of the rebuild and put this in the hands of the drafted players at the top of this draft, like Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and then obviously there's players like Marcus Sasser and Asar Thompson. It's time for them to make a shift from where they've been to being able to be able to absolutely, like, because the over-under was 28.5 wins. We all had aspirations of this team going out there and being able to win at least 27 to 30 games this year if all went right, and all wasn't right. I'm hoping that their second half outlook, it helps to kind of accelerate this, what Troy Weaver said 7 days before free agency started this past offseason. He said it to a media scrum that included myself, Mike Curtis of the Detroit News, their beat writer. Omari Sankofa was there, James Edwards, Sean Windsor, and he told us, look, we're going to assess this team this year under Monty Williams to see how they do. I think that all the assessment that's needed to be done has been done. And I'm waiting and I'm ready for this team to now go out there and kind of dress around these young players that you have identified, because if you can't, then this all thing was for naught, and you've absolutely failed, in my opinion, Cade Cunningham. You failed, in my opinion, Jalen Duren. You have failed, in my opinion, Jaden Ivey. And these guys who, you talk about players who, when you kind of talk behind the scenes to their camps and everything, shout out Javin Hunter, shout out Ashton the trainer. When you talk to some of these people behind the scenes, you know that these players are locked in. You know that these players, they made commitments to the city. They didn't just come here and just kind of put on buffs just to try and get some cheers and some likes on social media. These are guys who stepped into a situation that they knew has been down for some time. You saw Cade Cunningham at Tiger Stadium before the draft and how all of the fans there were chanting his name and just seeing his reaction. That's not fake. These guys want to put on for the city, right. And I do believe that what happens in the front office is going to have a lot to do with it, and that's why I'm ready for them to say, you know what, let's start to put the right players around them, whether it's a splash or whether it's good role players, good veteran role players who can come in and contribute in a mighty way. I'm ready for this to happen right away. I don't wait anymore.
But the key here is going to be, like, who does it that way? I mean, Oklahoma City, maybe when they had Shea, that they didn't really have the veterans around them. They just said, hey, these young guys are just going to have to grow up and figure it out. They need a vet. They need a vet who can show them the ropes. And I don't give me a rotational guy. I need an all-star. I need a big name that says, we really – I'm off the Zach LaVine train, obviously. Can you go get DeMar DeRozan? I don't even know if he's the guy that you want. You probably want a younger guy to be able to shepherd them and get them into that next stage of this, but they can't do it themselves. Cade can't do it with Jalen Duren. It's still going to take too long for that to kind of that mix to meld and to become what you want it to be. You've got to figure out some other way to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And you know what? Speaking about Cade, up here on the back wall, we got the Cade quote. I got to make sure I attribute James Edwards of The Athletic. He got the quote and some information about Cade Cunningham and how he's been feeling this season. I know earlier in the season, Monty Williams also kind of spoke to this as well, about them having to find the best way to manage Cade coming back from the surgery that he had. It wasn't just a light surgery. It was a kind of an overhaul to that left shin for Cade Cunningham that was dealing with some fractures since high school and maybe even before that. He had gotten comfortable and learned how to play in it, and so I know a lot of people out there are saying, maybe he doesn't look right this season. He looks a little bit slower. I think anybody standing next to Jaden Ivey, playing next to him, you're going to get that kind of that look. And James Edwards with the quote, I have good days and I have some bad days. But he's confident in the long haul at being able to kind of get over this, learn how to play through this, and have a lot more better days string together than these bad days. We used to do something earlier in this pod called the Cade Zone, and it was where we would go on and we would talk about the type of player that Cade Cunningham was and who we thought that he would become. And I've started to see things pop up, and I even see it in our chats here today of people saying, would it be better potentially to trade a Cade Cunningham? I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I feel right now. No. You know what? To take a page out of my man Sam Flannel over here, I had to go and I had to get the stats. People are sitting here believing that there's some aspect of Cade Cunningham that doesn't belong in this Pistons future. I believe he is absolutely still the straw that stirs this drink. And as long as the front office does right by Cade Cunningham, you're going to see the full star potential realized out of who Cade Cunningham was. It was something to see some of these guys getting picked for the All-Star game, but when you kind of go to the stats of it all and you see Cade Cunningham is a top 30 scorer in this NBA. When you go to it at 21 points per game, 21.9 points per game, just outside of 22 points. When you go to the assist aspects, you see that Cade Cunningham is top 10 in this NBA in assists. I don't even know who he's throwing the ball to, Rod. Let me calm back down. I don't know who he's even throwing the ball to. I know that we want to see him. And you want to talk about potential assists. I should have had that stat on file as well, because this guy is missing out on a lot of potential assists. You're talking about Cade potentially being up there in that top 3 or 4 with the potential assists if those were able to convey. And as they get better players and shooters around him, you start to see his numbers be 8 assists, 9 assists, 10 assists more regularly. And I believe that we're going to see that as this season goes along. And you're talking about his overall season numbers of 21.9, 7.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds assists per game, 4.5 rebounds per game. This was kind of about where we wanted to see out of Cade Cunningham entering into this season. Somebody who, up to this point, he's just played just over about 2 seasons worth of basketball. He's still a young player, but he's putting up relatively all-star-like numbers on a team that has not really done a lot around him at all. I don't want to entertain at all this noise about Cade Cunningham needing to be traded. What they need to do is they need to put more around him, like you alluded to in the last segment. I do believe that Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren, it's a good start. It's definitely a good start. But you got to bring in that veteran presence that knows how to play basketball in this league, that can absolutely help these guys from a veteran standpoint. You talk about some of these sports and what the locker room guys mean. You got to bring in guys that can play, one, not just offense, but also defense, and people that can help this young team better develop, better kind of keep their emotions in check. When you kind of go through bad stretches, that are able to kind of help talk these guys out of this type of stuff. I'm hoping that the Detroit Pistons add that, but this noise about Cade Cunningham, he is a star, guys. I get it. It's a little bit difficult to be able to kind of put those monikers on players when their teams are struggling as bad as the Pistons are. But there's no way, shape, or form that Cade Cunningham should be on any of you guys' bad radars, man. I had to invoke the Cades on today, bro.
4 words. 4 words. Don't read the comments. Don't read the comments. Don't even read them. So I will play this game. I will take a second and play this game. What are you hoping to get by trading Cade Cunningham? Can you get a couple of first rounders for him? And even if you did, who's coming down the pike that you feel like is going to play some of that role? Because if you're trading a young guy to get more young guys, in essence, if you're trading for draft picks, if you're trading for a vet and maybe an all-star, I don't know what you can get, but that same player, you should be able to either pull into, you can get them in cap space or something else. So Cade should be the last person that you trade. Cade should be the last person you trade.
I'm glad.
I was gonna say Duren is right there, because you can find someone similar to Cade. I don't know how many you can find similar to Duren, but Cade is the last person you should trade for other reasons.
Yep.
But if you play that game with people on, hey, they should trade him, the very next question, what are you getting in return? Who are you trading him for? Who wants that piece and is going to give you equal value for that? Because people want to look at Bogey, people want to look at Alec Burks, and they will say, well, hey, you could have traded him last year and gotten what? More picks? If they were trying to move into a transitional space to start winning, you can't do that with more picks. So anytime somebody says this person needs to be traded, this person needs to be cut, well, what are you going to do after that? What's your next plan? Because it's a hot take to say, cut this guy, trade this guy, sign this guy, but then what? How does that fit into a plan? It's not just going out here and doing stuff wild just to be doing stuff. It has to fit into a bigger thing that you're doing.
Yeah, and I see Honolulu BS here. He said, talk about the turnovers and the injuries, please. I have no problem talking about that, because when you want to look at the top 10, top 20, top 30 in turnovers, you know what you see? A bunch of superstars on that list. That's what you're going to see because of their usage, because of the attention that they get. And Cade's not number 1 on that list. He's just not. Is he top 10 and would we like to see that turnover number come down? Yes, but that's not just on him as a player. You put better players around him on his team, the usage goes down, the attention that defenses are able to pay to Cade Cunningham, that goes way down. And then the assist numbers are going to start to go way up. You're talking about, Rod, we watched this team intently, probably more than what's good for our health, man. And we see how defenses are defending Cade Cunningham. You were going to talk about looking at defenses and zones. It almost seems like they're just running a Cade zone. Cade's on, eh? Where there's the double teams, and then there's hedges, and there's players like, we do not care about who you're throwing it to in the corners. We don't care. We just care about you, Cade. And why is that? Because they think about Cade, as does the scouting reports from other teams, as does other superstars across the league, just the same way that we're talking about Cade here as well. And I know KG, I call him our number one draft pick, man. You know, Kevin Garnett get no mention around here. It's our KG. He had some questions this morning as well about KD he wanted to be able to ask you too. And about the Pistons in general, right?
Yep. Hey, what's up, Rye? Big respect for all the work that you do. But I wanted to ask, would you give consideration to shutting down Cade for the rest of the year? Now, clearly the Pistons have nothing to play for. And with the things that we're hearing about, you know, he's still feeling the ill effects from the shin surgery from last year and his recovery. It's been talked about online. But if you're Troy Weaver, if you're Monty Williams, will you shut Cade down for the rest of the year? I'm of the mindset that you should continue to play him so he has more chemistry with the rest of this young core. But what would you do in that situation?
It depends on the extent of it, and they'll never tell you that. But is there any danger of making it worse? If there is, then yeah, you shut him down. There's no real reason to overuse there. But it's just how much pain is he feeling? Is it going to do better with rest? And can he make it any worse by working on it?
Yeah. And you know what, man? I can't wait. Like I said, I'm going to be down there at the practice today. It's always interesting to kind of get that look at the players because you see how serious they are. And for me, it's going to be the first practice that I've been able to attend since a lot of these trades have gone down. And it's weird to even say, but it's like the Pistons have looked better since going all the way back to that trade with the Wizards. And then you talk about the trade deadline deals as well. They're playing a little bit faster, which I think will definitely help Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham, he plays more methodical, but Cade Cunningham is not a slow player. You get that pace up all around him, and you're going to see the pace continue to go up. I know one of the other things, we talk about Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham all the time, and people will always ask about their fit and whatnot. I believe that this is the kind of the perfect storm for them right now to be able to experiment the second half of the season, to be able to start to create and to forge an identity. And to be able to go out there and kind of not necessarily focus on shutting out the noise, but focus on creating your own noise. That's what I'm hoping these Detroit Pistons do. They've had this kind of all-star break to sit back, look at everything that's going on kind of this first half of the season, kind of get a little bit fresh, get a little bit healthier, and now they got these guys that they've been kind of practicing with, trying to get this chemistry on the fly. But you're talking about the guys that they've brought in. They're younger players. They're hungry players. Some of these guys have had success. Some of these players have started in this league, like Quentin Grimes and Simone Fontecchio. And I'm looking forward to this team going out there and proving that irregardless of the talent that people believe we do or don't have, we're going to give all-out hustle. That's the identity I'm hoping that they forge. That every team that they step out there against is going to have to deal with the fact that they're going to play the full brunt of this game. That's what I'm hoping, man. The full 48 out of these Detroit Pistons. That if there is a loose ball to be had, that it's theirs. If there's a rebound to be had, you're going to have to contend with all of us. If when there's a fast break to be had, we're there. When you guys are on a fast break, we're getting back to try and stop you. If there's a foul, I'm hoping these guys find a way to say, you know what, we're going to play through it. And if there's a foul that's been missed, we're going to get back on defense. We're going to try and do everything we can to get that ball back. Because aside from talent, every Detroit team that's been a winner has been steeped in defense and hustle. And could we say grind? So I'm hoping that this is what we see out of these Detroit Pistons moving forward. I do believe that they have that in them, and I know that the early part of the season, the lineups and some things, shout out to Sean Windsor of the Detroit Free Press, who he kind of wrote an opinion piece on Monty Williams' lineups, probably holding this Pistons rebuild back a little bit. But I happen to believe that in the second half of the season, you're going to see the lineups be a little bit more what people had hoped out of this Detroit Pistons team, and that it's going to bode a lot better for the chemistry that they're able to build up.
Right, and just to add on to that, I think you've got to go out and you've got to get wins. Like you go into Sacramento and get a win. You overcome a big lead in Portland and get a win. Because this past now 3+ years has just been losses. You're not doing anything to try to get the number one pick. You don't care if you get the number one and number two pick. At this point, you want to make sure that these guys figure out how to win. And then when you add in some veteran presence and some other pieces during the offseason, you can continue that. But Cade needs to win games. Duran needs to win games. They can't just continue with this and turn this into a 10-12 win season. I want you to get to 14. somewhere down the road here, and not blaring that as, hey, that's a big success, but it means you won 6 games out down the stretch here, and some of them are going to be against tougher opponents.
Yeah, it definitely. It's almost like you've been out in the cold too long. I don't want this team to get frostbite, and then you got to cut off all of the things that matter. Right. I'm like, you know what? Warm this thing back up. Warm this thing back up, man. I want to see this team back, because right now the most we have to talk about in terms of their best stretch is the 10-14 stretch post All-Star break that they had in Cage rookie season. Let's at least put that to bed. Let's prove that you guys are playing for something. Have some heart. Do not set the franchise record in the lowest amount of wins. Go out there and play like you said, man, because that's the most crucial thing. Get some wins. I don't care what it means in the grand scheme of things. Go out there and show that you guys play with this pride in your heart. I don't know. I forget who said it in the chats, but he said, so Kool-Aid, Don Rivera, so you want the Pistons to have ... grit? Yes, I do. It's the Detroit way. It's the Detroit way. Rod, any last words?
No, man. If Michigan's situation wasn't bad enough, Olivier Kahn was out for the rest of the year, so there's that.
Oh. They're not winning another game. 8-23. He's been their best player that can play every game, because we all know Doug McDaniel cannot. But Olivier Como has been good. He's been like one of their bright spots.
Oh, man.
8-23, here we come.
You don't
not
understand,
anymore.
Rod? Sam and Michigan basketball is peanut butter and jelly, and this is hurting him right now. This is like he's prepared the peanut butter side, he's doing the jelly side, and it just dropped on the floor. And now it's affecting him, man. It is affecting him. So it's been great to have you on, as always. Rod Beard, the legend, Detroit News sports editor-in-chief, mentor to not just me, but to a lot of different people out there. I'm going to continue to say it. You're going to any of these media rooms, you're going to hear Rod Beard's name as one of those guys, man. And I'm glad to have you in our corner as well. Thank you for your contributions to Wake Up Woodward, man. The crew is happy every time we get to have you on, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, Rod.
Thank you. And look, guys, thank you. Hey, you guys hit that like button for Mr. Rod Beard as well. And please check out the Detroit News as well. They do great work over there. Great work. I often find myself reading my brother, Mike Curtis, Detroit News beat writer. And he's a good person, too, kind of cutting the same cloth as Rod Beard. Wake Up Woodward, man. You guys, as always, are great. In this next segment, I want to kind of follow up on some things he was talking about, as well as from some of the Lions talk. But we put up a post on socials, the old Cadillac building. And I don't know if you have that graphic or not, JB, so we'll put that up. Yeah, we'll put that up. And the question is this. I need you guys to put this in the live chat as well as in the comment section as well. This building used to be reserved for the king of Detroit, for the current king of Detroit. The Cadillac building. Some of us might be old enough to remember when we drove by that building, you saw Steve Eiserman up there. When you drove by that building, you saw Barry up there, and it was keeping track of his yardage stats as he got closer and closer and closer to the king, to the top of the mountain as the king. I want to know which current Detroit sports athlete you'd pick for the Cadillac building mural if they were to bring it back, and which all-time athlete would you bring as well? One of our old guards, one of our old kings as well. So one current, one king. I need you guys to definitely get that ready, and we're definitely going to go back to the phone lines when we get into this next segment as well. 313-552-6322. But first, I got a little bit of good news and bad news for you guys.
Uh-oh.
I'll give you the bad news first. It's that insurance rates are going up across the board in Michigan. Like, surprise! Like, the good news, though, is that Swiss Insurance is here to help right now more than ever. It's critical for you to have your insurance reviewed. Swiss will make sure your carrier does not slip in extra fees or raise deductibles. Call Mark at Swiss Insurance today or visit SwissINS.com and tell them that Woodward Sports sent you.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
I will be at March Madness in Detroit this year, and I know there's another way that you guys could potentially be there too. If you come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience, you'll also be registered to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tourney. I wish Michigan was there. Yeah. So sad.
It won't be.
That's right, though. You're right, too. But that's right. No expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. What up, dog? Detroit? Welcome back. It's Wake Up Woodward. Hope you guys have hit that like button. Let's smash this, man. Let's continue to approach a new record for this Wake Up Woodward chat family, man. And I'm hoping you guys are getting your Cadillac Building current athlete and your all-time legend that you would want to see up on that Cadillac Building mural. I already saw that the chat was lighting up with this. And drop it in the comments as well so it lives forever on this video stream too. But I know that we have some packed phone lines. KG, what's going on, brother?
We do. Eduardo been holding the longest, so what's up, homie? You on Wake Up Woodward?
Good morning, guys.
Hey, what up, though, Eduardo? As always, I'm happy when you call in.
Thank you. So I wanted to make a statement before I have a question for Sam. I just want to, I know you guys are going through it with, the Michigan State basketball, or, the Michigan basketball team and the Pistons basketball team. And, I'm fortunate that currently all of my major sports teams are actually relevant. But it wasn't always that way, and the Lions found me. I'm not from Michigan. That's thanks to my ex-girlfriend. I became a Lions fan. But my heart is in in the other sports. I'm in another team, So I just wanted to, just have patience, As I watch certain, Detroit sports, I see that some progress is there. I don't know about Michigan, but for the Pistons, the building blocks are there, and we just, as Lions fans, we know we just got to be patient with it, and eventually, all the major Detroit sports teams will be good at the same time. But that being said, Sam, I've been waiting for 2 weeks. I got something for you. As the Hutch defender in here, I need to know, what is Hutch's ceiling? And the reason why I asked it is because we all watched the Super Bowl. I want to know if Hutch has it in him to pull off a Chris Jones. We need a key third down stop to force a team in overtime to kick a field goal instead of a touchdown. Can he pull off? Can he get the pressure that, you know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Can his ceiling be, I know they play different positions, but can his ceiling be Chris Jones? Because our best pass rusher needs to be that guy where I don't have the help, but I'm going to take over. So as the Michigan, as the Hutch defender, I want to know, is that his ceiling, or should we be looking elsewhere for that type of guy?
All right, so first of all, I caught what you said at the end. Chris Jones has George Karlaftis, another double-digit sack guy, which is somebody who was more consistently helping Hutch than anybody that he had. I know Aleem McNeil, when he played, had a good year, and I know the safety blitzes helped Hutch a lot, but as far as a bookend edge rusher, he didn't have really anybody, and I think we can all agree with that. And to answer your question, I do think his ceiling is Defensive Player of the Year, because the reality is that there are a lot of people, for some reason, that almost find Aiden Hutchinson polarizing at times. But to me, he had that second-year jump. I mean, if you would have told me before the year, and this is just based off of a lot of the premises that you guys have, that he would have a double-digit sack season, and he would have 2 sacks and a playoff win against Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams, you'd want the statue built already. but that's actually what did happen. But some of you still are kind of like, oh my God, but the NFC Championship game, oh my God. While also forgetting to mention that Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons also no-showed in their one playoff game, a game that they didn't win. So to me, Aiden Hutchinson's ceiling is Defensive Player of the Year, and I also think he proved this season just how important he was to his team. He had more than double the sacks of the second most, Lee McNeil, double the tackles for loss, almost triple the quarterback hits, and triple the forced fumbles, and relative to the second most on his team. So yes, Aiden Hutchinson is that dude 100%. He will win a Defensive Player of the Year before he is retired. Book it.
Let's
Book
go.
it.
Let's go.
Man, you know what? You get me hype every time you talk about Aiden Hutchinson.
Yes.
Seriously, but I'm seriously ready to run through a brick wall I know Aiden Hutchinson is too. Who do we else have on the line, bro?
Hey, we got my dog Freddie Felt 313. What's up, Freddie? You on Wake Up Woodward?
Freddie, what up, though, bro?
Oh, what up, though, fellas? Hey, shout out KG from last week. He got me on the Mel Farr top 5 Detroit commercials.
Yeah,
I was bummed. I was bummed that I, of all people, snubbed the great Mel Farr to the rescue.
Classic, man. Grew up with that one.
Classic. Hopefully, the youngsters did their homework and watched some of those OG ones that that may have gone over their heads and everything. So I was laughing at Rod Beard, a legend, talking about All-Star Weekend because, I was there this weekend, quick flex. I didn't go to anything, but I just got to say, from just being there in Indy this weekend, the energy was so palpable downtown, and it was just so cool. All the different pop-ups, like Foot Locker and Lids, and all the different companies were doing pop-ups across the city. So, they basically took over the Circle Center Mall and, set up shop in there. And it was just, they had, a Cheeto booth with, Chester Cheetah. And, you could get bags of Cheetos personalized. They had the Cheeto Pumas that just dropped. And there were people getting lined up in the Foot Locker. They had barbers and, NBA Jam arcades set up. It was just so cool. And it's something that Detroit definitely needs. It's been since 1979 since the All-Star Game came to Detroit. And, as crappy as the events are, albeit the dunk contest and the three-point shootout, the city would still benefit from it, especially LCA. Because let's be honest, different arenas in the past, the Palace is cool, it's in the burbs, but it wasn't in Detroit. And, Joe Louis was a dump, but it was our dump. How are you going to build an arena with no windows looking at the river? They had a bunch of cement and was just here's Joe Louis Arena. But LCA is just so great. You got the sewer grates in the concourse. You got Stevie Wonder on the mural. What better visual for people that are outside of Detroit to visit our great city and see what this city is all about? And I think Detroit would just be a perfect all-star city to host. You know what else would fix the competition for the dunk contest is, I don't know, guys like Flannels boy LeBron James, who's been ducking and dodging the dunk contest since he was a teenager. I don't know, maybe get some stars in there, growing up in the 80s and watching Larry Bird do the who's coming in second three-point shootout and watching Dominique and Jordan go at it. It's just, you got to give people a reason to care. And also, what else can they do with a basketball in a dunk contest? Drive in an army tank and blow up the backboard with it? I don't know what else you could possibly do in the dunk contest, but yeah.
I feel you, man.
Quick thoughts on the All-Star Weekend,
And I wish I could have got down to All-Star Weekend. Obviously, new baby. Had to be able to stay back and give wifey some support, but thank you for holding it down out there for us, Freddie. I can't wait for the Lions season as well when we get back to kind of doing some of these remote shows. I know that's where we actually got to meet in person as well. You got to jump on the post-game show too, man. Hey, Freddie's one of the real ones. One of those strong supporters, man. Those Woodward Day ones. So we appreciate your support always, man. Always. I know that Freddie has hit that like button, and we definitely want the chat to continue to smash that like button. But we got to kind of get into this Cadillac building mural talk, and I think that it also kind of breeds the conversation to also hear your Mount GRINDmore as well.
All right.
Yeah, can I give you guys some of the chat? They had a few answers for you.
Yeah.
Let me just to get you guys get this heated up. Eduardo O'Neill says he's a Laporta supporter. And again, this is a current Detroit athlete to go up on the Cadillac building, correct?
Yep.
Cool.
And
cool.
if they have some legends, like one current, one legend, you can just give us one, or if you give both, then you give both.
We got a mix here. Dante151 says Amon-Ra St. Brown and Calvin Johnson.
Ooh.
Mike O, Jared Goff, a.k.a. G-Money.
The king of Detroit.
That's right. How about this? Charles McClain, Aiden Hutchinson, and Lou Whitaker. That's one we haven't heard too often. Ragnow, Cade, Green, Sider, Gibbs, and Stevie, says Patrick Ofiara. There's some good ones. Kalamazoo, Spencer Torkelson. They're all over the map. This is quality. Who would you guys?
Do you have one? You kick it off, bro. Do you got somebody?
A current Detroit player?
Yeah.
I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
You took mine.
I'll take the chance to go first because now I got you guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he seems to be the perfect illustration of Detroit, and I'm hoping he signs this contract extension so we can have him up there for an extended amount of time. That's my guy, ARSB.
I hate to do this, but I have to agree. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, here's the thing. He is basically everything that you could want to have on a mural of Detroit. He was a 4th-round draft pick who in year 3 was first-team All-Pro over guys like Devontae Adams and A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs and Jamar Chase. That's unbelievable in and of itself. And the Lions, at this point, when you're talking about current Detroit athletes, they're the only team that you can really pull from, in my opinion, because they have proof that they're winners. The Red Wings, we think they will, but there's cold, hard proof that it's the Lions, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the biggest reasons why.
Do you have an all-timer that you put up there?
I would probably go Isaiah Thomas.
Ooh,
yeah.
I gotta clap to that one.
That's a great one.
Actually, the one that I was thinking of too. I was like, if they're not gonna give him a statue, at least put him on the mural, man. I don't know how he never made it up there. I like that one. But KG, you got an all-timer, and you said you can give your take for why Amon-Ra St. Brown too.
Well, I mean, they said it perfect, man. Amon-Ra is just the model of what you want a current Lion to be. He exudes grit. He comes in every day, works hard, and he just embodies what this city is about, man. And if you're gonna put a current player up there, I think he's the most recognizable face. Of course, you can put Aiden, you could put other players up there, but to me, Amon-Ra St. Brown would be the perfect choice. But I don't know why the hell they took Barry down in the first place. You talking about he is the marquee Detroit sports legend, man. One of the greatest, if not the greatest running back of all time. I don't understand why you ever did that. Growing up, it was always the Whale and Barry. That's all I knew growing up on that building. So put Barry back up there, man. Come on, man. Y'all got to show love to Barry, man. But that's my all-timer is Barry. Put Barry back up there.
Yo, I got to clap to that too, dog. Salute to that. Because you're right, man. You're talking your talk. Man, it hits even better when you know that you're right, bro. Definitely. Yeah. But JB, you got a current and an all-timer?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have said it 1,000 times over again, but yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you can't go wrong with putting him up there. I will say, if you want to throw in someone else, maybe a newcomer, just to make it up to date, a little bit fresh, maybe go for Jahmyr Gibbs, just a younger face on there that maybe not a lot of people know, but will soon get to know as being a dominant superstar here in Detroit. And as far as my old school guy to put back on there, I gotta agree with KG. You should have never took Barry off of that.
Right.
That is the model athlete for Detroit right there. You should never have taken him off.
I don't care about the fax machine. I don't
care either.
We don't care, man. Keep Barry up there, bro.
Keep Barry up there. You know what? For me, my current, obviously, I would go with Zeke. I'm a basketball guy. I love the Lions too, but Isaiah Thomas brought us a championship. The Bad Boys were iconic. They still continue to get play. So I got to go with Zeke. That was a good one, Sam. And Barry, put them both up there. Put them both up there, man.
Come on now.
And you know what? Let's make it a collage and put Steve Eisenman up there too, man. Let's definitely do that. Yep. But
what about Gordie Howe? He'd be my all-timer. Yeah. There's a whole sport. Ooh. He's named after a whole sport. Mr. Hockey?
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. We're blessed.
Yeah.
We're blessed. Hopefully we can get back into that era with these current teams, but man, we are blessed. My current, though, I want it kind of mid pregame rant. Penei Sewell.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
That's a good one.
Talk about on that mural, looking out over Detroit City, kind of in his. Yeah, that's what I want. Penei Sewell up there would be awesome. But before we get to a break in our next segment, because it's the most electrifying segment in sports entertainment, what's trending with JB Smooth, you got to give us your Mount Grindmore.
My Mount Grindmore. Okay,
I'm waiting for Darren McCarty.
By the way, Honolulu BS said on the Cadillac building, you should have Ben Wallace and D-Mac. Just for you.
That would be perfect.
And spoiler alert, neither of them are on my Mount GRINDmore. But I don't think it's a
course.
disrespectful list.
It's on brand.
It's how you interpret it.
All right.
Okay.
And
We'll
I'm going, and these are all Detroit based. All right. So there's one that I'm going to steal from you, Broder, because I think it's obvious. At number one would be Dennis Rodman. I mean, the guy was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year during the heart of the Bad Boys' success. And the thing about Dennis Rodman that to me made him such a grinder is after those Defensive Player of the Year seasons, he had about a 6 or 7 year stretch where he was the undisputed best rebounder in the entire NBA,
Facts.
whether it was with the Pistons or the Spurs or the Bulls, and was like 6'6", 6'7", the greatest below the rim rebounder who ever played the game of NBA basketball. And he also was a key contributor on 5 championship teams. That cannot be denied. I would say my next one is Nicholas Lidstrom of the Detroit Red Wings. Here's the reality. He is arguably, it's either him or Bobby Orr, the best defenseman to ever play the sport. And the thing I like about Lidstrom as well is that pretty much every single one of the championships either intersected with the beginning of his prime, or the end of his prime. He was you could argue he was as good a player as any on all 4 of the championship teams. And that's unique to Nick Lidstrom. And if you're the best defensive player in your respective sport, you got to be on a grind list. And my other member, it is of the 04 Pistons, but it is not Ben Wallace. It is Tayshaun Prince.
Interesting.
A guy
Okay.
whose defense I think gets criminally underrated.
Yeah.
To me, he was more responsible for the Pistons winning that 04 championship than just about anybody because of the defense that he played on Kobe Bryant. And a lot of people like to just say, oh my God, Ben Wallace shut down Shaq. Wrong. The Los Angeles Laker who was terrible in that series was actually Kobe. He shot under 40% from the floor and under 20% from 3. He was ball hogging the whole time, and Tayshaun Prince had him on lock.
Bro, I love the Tayshaun Prince love. We talked about it yesterday with that 04 picture that he's not in, the kind of classic one with Larry Brown.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to be upset that Ben Wallace and Darren McCarty weren't in there. But,
it's D-Mac inspired, so it's okay that he's not. It's all about D-Mac, so that's fine.
But D-Mac and Ben Wallace can't make the Hall of Fame. They can't make the Cadillac mural. They can't make even Sam's Mount GRINDmore, man. Oh, my God. My goodness. But we got to take a break real quick. In this next segment, you guys already know, we got What's Trending with JB Smooth, one of the best things I believe we do every single show. But I got to tell you guys about Premier Pet, and you guys already know where I go to get my Detroit Lion the best. It's Premier Pet Supply, hands down, Michigan's best pet store. Was that a meow?
Yeah, man.
Oh, my God. Who's doing that?
Same prices and all the conveniences online and big box retailers with one major difference. Family and locally owned and operated for 30 plus years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com. I love these guys, man.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanauto.com to find the location nearest you. Catch Woodward Sports Network live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every other Monday.
What up, though, Detroit? Welcome back. It's Wake Up Woodward. It's been an awesome show. The chat has been electric. We had Rod Beard, the Detroit News Sports Editor-in-Chief, on to talk all sports teams, including Sam's favorite, Michigan basketball. It's Wake Up Woodward.
Wake up!
Woo! I hope you guys are awake right now, man. I really do. If you are, go on ahead, hit that like button to support the stream, support the crew, support the family over here, the Wake Up Woodward family. And I think it's time for that most electrifying segment in sports entertainment. What's trending with JB Smooth.
Jay Bizzle.
Hey, fellas, what's going on? You know what, Flannel? I am so happy you're here right now because finally, I've been saving this for forever, but now we finally get to show off your new tattoo, or tramp stamp, I should say.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
I just have to ask, is it healing okay? Are you doing all right? You know?
Oh, man. I got to be honest. If I did this and I was also a Lions fan and worked at a Detroit sports network, I would be okay with them just being like, you're gone, dude. I'm not this crazy, but if you're a Chiefs fan, I can't even hate you that much. Patrick Mahomes has given you more excitement and winning than you've had in your entire franchise history. So I wouldn't do something like that, but I'm not necessarily going to knock it too much.
Hey, you can show us after the show.
All right, yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I want to see that.
All right, well, brother, I told you I had a video for you, and I'm pretty sure you know this from being your baseball star that you are, but yeah, have you ever encountered this type of coach?
Oh, boy.
All right, man, I'm first. Nobody out. Come on. Guys, I'm not going to baby the baseball, okay?
Yes.
I'm going to hit the ground balls. Right there, make a play. Now, do it again. Man on first. Nobody out. What, are you going to tell the batter to hit it softer in the game? Come on. Boy, see? And that's why he's our shortstop. He didn't do this. He didn't step back. No, he came through the ball and then he made.
Oh my God.
Nice. Rich Maloney. That looked like my old college baseball. Not looked like. Seemed like my old college baseball coach. And I believe there was a JV coach at my high school who was like, it's usually either the guys who have something to prove and they're out there. This is their World Series Game 7 or not. But yeah, that is classic fungo hitting. That's why I decided to be a pitcher. I didn't want to deal with that anymore.
I just gotta say, like, that was hilarious. Like, I didn't actually think like coaches were like as animated as that, but I guess so.
There are some.
Yeah.
They're baseball players and coaches. They're characters. There's a lot of standing around, a lot of time in your mind thinking. We're weird. There's some weird dudes in baseball.
All right. Well, lastly, I got this video to show you guys, and I just have to ask: is this genius or not?
What the fuck? Seabrook, what the
Oh.
fuck? Seabrook!
Oh.
Isn't that illegal?
Is this genius? Like, I don't
No,
even know.
Did the other
That's
player
hard.
touch the basketball? Oh, he touched. Oh,
That's
he stole
hard.
the tap. That's legal.
Really?
That's legal.
Doesn't the person having to take the tip have to try to tip? Like, they can't do.
You don't have to go for
No,
it.
you don't. As long as
then
the
it's
other
genius.
player touches the
Yeah,
basketball
you
first,
don't have to.
You're good to go. He went and stole the tip off.
That's genius.
Actually pretty cool.
No, that's genius. When you have that much of a height disadvantage, I mean, it's self-awareness. You have no chance of winning the tip, so you might as well try to steal it. So good on this guy.
Good on him. Yo, man, I'm sitting here now like, man, all the years I played basketball, I have never thought of something like that.
Yeah.
That's
Quick 2
genius.
points.
Well, Kool-Aid, unlike we'll say me, usually would probably win the tip or have the hops to not have to pull a move like that. Sometimes, maybe Flannel, you're in the category with me. We got to get a little more strategic with our athleticism.
I am 100% in the category with you. I am. For those of you who don't know, I am 6'2", but I've never been able to dunk a basketball. That just shows how little ups that I have.
Damn.
So I can't even touch the rim right now. I'm like hitting the bottom of the net. I have like Nikola Jokic hops, except I'm not 7 feet.
Hey, white man can't jump.
I mean,
Woody Harrelson over here.
I'm the stereotype. It's okay.
Oh man, but you know what, man, you're great. You're a great member of this team.
Appreciate
Though.
that.
I know that much,
Hey.
man. On this squad, man, we got nothing but superstars and all stars, all pros on this thing, and I love it. This is one of the best things that I do, man. I really do. I look forward to waking up and being with our Wake Up Woodward crew. It's a pleasure for me personally. I definitely want to let you guys know as we continue to build this thing and build this family and build this show for what it means for Detroit. I am grateful, and yeah, definitely. What's good, bro?
Teach, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. We got 3 legends to shout out again. We snuck one in with the Rod Beard while Rod Beard was talking. Alan Trammell, his birthday is today. Happy birthday, Alan Trammell.
Hey.
Happy birthday to the best wide receiver to ever play at the University of Michigan. Number 17 on the New York Jets, Braylon Edwards. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Host of the 2 to 4 show, Armani and Edwards. Again, the best wide receiver in University of Michigan history. And then last but not least, Wishbone from the Bone Thugs and Harmony. One of my favorite groups.
Let's go.
Shout out Wishbone. Happy birthday, my guy.
Let's go. Let's go, man. Definitely, man. And shout out to those guys, especially Braylon Edwards. He's a person who he does his show between 2 and 4, but he's also a guy who looks out for the crew as well. Anything from mentorship to advice, man. Hey, have a day, man. Have a day, Braylon Edwards, man. That's pretty awesome. I did want you had one more player on your Mount GRINDmore.
And I know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to be like, wait, we got to make sure, huh?
Yes.
Is it Ben Wallace?
No, it is not Ben Wallace. It is it's somebody who I think has already carved it out, even though he's only in his 3rd season. Amon-Ra St. Brown is number 4 on my Mount GRINDmore, just because of he's a 4th rounder who's reached heights. I mean, he's first team All-Pro in year 3, and he is talented, but he's not as talented and physically gifted as guys like an A.J. Brown or a Jamar Chase or a Stephon Diggs, for example. But Amon-Ra St. Brown had as good of a season as just about any wide receiver playing in the NFL this year. So shout out Amon-Ra St. Brown, the dictionary definition of a grinder.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Before we close out the show, we usually close it out because we want to represent all 4 of our teams here. We really, really try to put in the work to make sure we bring you guys the news, the information. If there's some debate to be had, we'll have the debate. But why don't we end it with our legends up there, man? Do we got the slide with the legends on there?
We do. Let me find it real quick.
Yeah, definitely, man. As we do our close, look at that.
Yum.
Because though the Cadillac mural is no longer in service, hopefully they bring that back. We're going to definitely make sure that we represent our guys here. And maybe we'll continue to switch this thing up behind us as the shows go on. So we definitely want you guys to be making suggestions about who should be on the mural for the week as well. But any last words from you, gentlemen?
Good to be back. I know I'm not on every day, but the days that I am here, it's just fun to be with you guys and with the chat. So let's have a day, man.
We missed you, Sam.
Thank you.
We missed you, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we see you still every day, but it's great to be able to talk sports with you, man. Get your perspective on things. You, like you said it, I don't want you to just say it. I want to be able to validate it. This man is well-studied, well-versed. He puts in so much work as it relates to the information he brings. He's not just what some people say, oh, he's just reading off the stats. No, he's going and he's researching. And it honestly has made me better in this industry, and I know it's going to continue to make a lot of us better here at this network as we try to bring you guys some of the best and most passionate sports coverage that you can get in Detroit, man. But there's no final words, man. We'll definitely get this thing closed out.
Take us away, Kool-Aid.
Definitely
Take us away.
You guys already know I got to shout out the most elite booth. Not just at Woodward Sports, but in Detroit sports media, period. We got Detroit's #1 draft pick here, KG. Great job today. Look, man, we said sounds, phone calls, the backboard, and all of that. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah, hey, and we got the MVP over here. We got the MVP, JB Smooth.
Stick just hopped out of the way.
Okay. JB
Stick is goated.
Woodward Sports' MVP in the TD booth. And you guys already know, man, the most electrifying segment in sports entertainment is What's Trending with JB Smooth. Hey, let's get Stick on there too, man. I'm so glad to have Stick in the building, man. You guys don't understand, man. You talking about the visionary, the dreamer, the guy who's really brought a lot of this together, man. Stick, thank you so much.
Put him on the Cadillac building.
Put Stick on the Cadillac building. We have to have a Stick mural or something. But you guys already know, our Detroit Lions and Detroit Tigers beat writer and beat reporter, Mr. Matt Broder himself. And we got some news. You know, I'll wait until you kind of announce that about the Lions stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wait. Yeah,
maybe
we
tomorrow.
Got some cool stuff on the way. As always, bro, fire job. It's always great to have you on. Flannel, Sam, Mr. Sam Reynolds himself. And I'm your boy, Brandon Ditt, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. You already know, Detroit Pistons beat writer and reporter. Got to run down to practice right after this. But thank you guys for waking up with Wake Up Woodward and starting your day off hopefully right. We hope that we brought you guys information, brought you guys laughs, and that you guys felt a part of the crew. Definitely go on ahead and hit that like button on your way out and leave a comment of who you would put on that mural and what guys you want to see up here from our Detroit sports legends. What up, though, Detroit? Have a day.